So I would say to them, imagine yourself exactly 1 year from now. So really see that version of you. How do they look? How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they walk? How do you carry yourself? And visualize this person in detail. And then make it your mission to become them. Start with the small intentions, the intentional actions that align with that future version of yourself. And then every choice that you make, from what you eat to how you move, should bring you closer to that person. And just remembering that growth happens and change happens step by step. But the key is to begin.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Zen and Now. Today I'm joined by Hayley Alexander, a professional health coach, writer, yoga mentor, and mind and body ninja. She's all about the balance and movement and helping others unlock their full potential through holistic wellness. We'll dive into her journey, the power of mindfulness, and how small shifts can make a big impact. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Hayley.
Thank you so much, Kishan. Really an honor to be here and nice to be on the other side of the interviewing table. So I'm the one who has to think and be on guard.
So Hayley, just an introduction of who Hayley is and how you got into the space of wellness and why you got into the space.
How and why I got into the space of wellness. I mean, I think, from a young age, I was always health conscious. I watched my father. My father was a marathon runner when I was young, and he was also a medical doctor. And I was very inspired by his own dedication and, realizing he's eating differently to everybody else.
Right.
He's training differently. His cycles, there's a reason, there's a purpose. And I was very much inspired by my father when I was younger. And just throughout my life, really curious about health and wellness, the science behind it. I was very interested in life sciences and went on to study genetics, and thereafter, realized I actually wanted to be a journalist. So, I studied both and found myself somewhere in between in the wellness space, and through a few career changes, kind of just being led in this direction of the health coaching. And it was very organic. I think, it wasn't about me going out and looking for it, but in its own way, it finding me at the end of the day and at the right time. I think, to do the work that we do, you don't just kind of, it doesn't just happen. It happens through change and transformation in yourself to actually be able to do the work that we do.
Yeah, it's important. Important note that you make is something within us changes. Was there something within you that changed with that led you towards this path, or was it
No,
specific moment in time?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think there were 2 or 3 kind of timeline moments in my life that definitely shaped where I kind of became and led on to from here. And the first was that I had a brain clot at the age of 20. It was really just a freak incident, and from being on the wrong medication and traveling and not knowing that I was at risk for thrombosis. And, that kind of brought me face to face with my own mortality.
Right.
It was kind of very much touch and go, and you realize, how I suppose how precious life is. And, you can have 99 problems, and then you have one health problem, and then you only have one problem. So it definitely shaped, I think, me wanting to educate others. And, I think that's where the writing comes in, is that if you can talk about your own experiences and do the research people are reading and learning, you can actually change lives that you don't even know about. So that was, I think, the first shift. And then my dad, who was such an active person in my childhood, became ill, and he needed to have a liver transplant, which was in my early 20s. And a decade or so later, he passed away from a heart attack. So also just seeing that shift from one extreme to the other. And, that kind of definitely made me more passionate and serious about what I do in the preventative medicine space. So deeply personally rooted in all ways, and still is.
First off, condolences, on your dad, and may his soul rest in peace. I know it couldn't have been a very easy time for you, a challenging time. How did you feel? What was your feelings? What was the kind of emotions you were going through, in your 20s when you first found out that you had the blood clot? And, I'm sure it's a
Mm,
shock to the system. It's not something that, a 20-year-old would expect at that point. So I can only
not at
imagine what kind
all.
of feelings, what your body went through, can you just talk us through, like, if you're comfortable with it, just to uh,
Sure,
explain
no.
what you were
Well,
feeling.
everybody thinks of it as, a shame story, shame that happened and
Hmm.
sorry that happened. But I actually see it as completely the opposite way. I felt it was an awakening moment in my life. It was a rebirth. The person I was before I had that experience and after changed. And, in my 20s, I was in a new relationship. I was in love. I felt, I can't have a clot. This is not going to get in my way. There's too much I need to do. I'm now moving into, studying my honors in journalism, and I'm in love and I want to live. And I just remember actually being in that hospital bed and sitting upright with all these wires and needles attached to me and meditating. In fact,
Hmm.
meditating and just seeing the clot dissolve. It was in my brain. So just seeing my brain open. And I honestly felt like my brain opened at that
Right.
time. And all of a sudden, I mean, they say that we only use 6% of our brains or something at the highest
Highest
potential
level, yeah.
and highest level. And I felt like, okay, well, maybe now it's opening into beyond 6% because my perceptions and connections were at levels that you talk about and it doesn't seem humanly possible. But there was an energy, there were vibrations that I could feel. I felt current in my body. I felt alive, like truly alive and divine. And I think, most people would say, oh, she was a bit manic. Maybe it was the meds. But it wasn't that. It really was an exploration and expansion into our, deeper consciousness. And the only time that I felt that again, I suppose, was in childbirth after the brain clot, where when I had a natural birth, because I couldn't be on any kind of medication after the
Right,
clot
right.
because I was so sensitive to it. So I had to have a natural birth, no drugs. And at that moment of giving birth, again, you feel just completely awakened and
Hmm.
empowered and in that divine space. And sometimes in my teaching yoga as well, I can tap into that energy. But as you say, as a 20-year-old, I mean, it changes your perspective on things. You become quite a lot more serious afterwards. And I just wanted to start my life. I think that was, I've got a second chance. And I started my life, got married very young. I mean, I have a daughter now who's 17, and we're kind of talking about what car to get her and driver's license. And it's crazy. It's like, I can't believe I've got a daughter who's an adult, and I still feel like I'm a child trying to figure out life in my own way. And she's, almost going to be that age. So, um, and then also with my father, I was also in my 20s when we were going through all of that. And I'd been actually living with him. And then we were living close by in the same block of flats, and, taking care of him and having that responsibility was a lot to bear. But I think again, it just teaches us a lot of lessons, and, helps us to grow. Yeah.
I guess I know where the annotation mind body ninja comes from now.
Well, my body ninja, funny enough, I think that's more
No, it's because
highlights.
you were so in tune with your mind and your body, and you're fighting. When I think of a ninja is somebody who's stealthy, who's just silently doing his work, but also getting it done. That's what I feel like. That's where you got it
Yeah,
from, and
kind
you
of
know,
exactly
yeah, it's
between the cracks.
like your brain tells you. It's so interesting that you say that, because I told this story on another podcast. I, uh, I heard the story of a man who was in hospital. He broke his entire back. Entire
Sure.
everything gone. He was told he'd probably never walk again or any. And he trained his mind to start healing himself from within. And miraculously, like, the body listens to the mind because we're interconnected. And because he had such positivity and such strength to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to tell my body to start healing. I'm going to feel. I'm going to give it that energy from within. And miraculously, he started to heal. I don't think he's probably 100%, but I mean, given that
Mm.
he in that state of mind, he told himself, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to start to heal within, and I'm going to give it the best opportunity, to do that because I trust my body. And I feel like that's the same thing you did with your thrombosis is you
Right.
and the blood clot. You yourself went within and said, please help me heal, and it listens. Intuitively, the universe helps us as well.
Mm. No, absolutely. And I always say we are not our minds. We are not just our bodies. It's the two working together, and obviously the spirit that livens us. And I think the ninja part came from the fact that I was big into my karate
Yeah.
when I was younger. I did karate for about, gosh, I think I started at the age of 13 or 14, and I did it for almost 20 years.
Right.
And I got my second Dan black belt actually when I was already a mother, because I had a break and then I came back to it. But with the brain clot, it was quite horrible because I couldn't train. I couldn't do karate because of the impact, and I was on blood thinners. So, but I remember even when I was sick, kind of walking through the wards, doing my stretches, my punches, my breathing, and I think where you say, it almost seems like a contradiction, the yoga and the karate and the mind and the body and the mindfulness. But I remember the first karate class I ever attended, and I was like looking forward to coming in and kicking and blowing off some steam. And the instructor said, sit down on your knees in a Zen position, close your eyes, put your hands on your lap, and breathe and clear your mind. And then I'll tell you when we're ready to start with the lesson. The most phenomenal sensei at the time, he's still around, George Wong. And the lesson was quiet in the mind. Before we can even go anywhere in the body, you need to clean the slate. And that's what we did. Beginning of every lesson and end of every lesson, it's called mokso. Close your eyes, settle, and then let's work the body. So mind, body, ninja, I think came from that, from my karate background, and I'll always be a little ninja somewhere. Sometimes I find myself even in the mirror when I'm getting dressed, doing a few warm ups and
Mops.
stretches.
Yeah.
The DNA, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an important, you learn such important lessons and disciplines that come from those practices that we take for granted, you know, um, and then subconsciously we also put that into our daily lives, you know, coming from a sporting background as well. Like I learned those disciplines uh, very early on in my life, and I just then carried out those practices into my daily life, everyday life now. And you're thankful for those experiences that you had and those teachings, from people who actually like gave you the opportunity to to learn something valuable, uh, that you can also then and then pass that on to the next generation or to everybody, whoever whoever needs it at the time. And you yourself, it's such a wonderful way to like learn things about yourself, but you have to go introspective first before you can actually um, give that energy off to somebody else.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think, like you're saying, we all find along the way if we're lucky, and often the time it is because of being in a sport, or maybe at school where you find that teacher or that mentor or that coach that sees your potential where you don't yourself, and recognizes and meets you where you're at, and
Yeah,
allows you the opportunity in a safe space to actually invite you into becoming a better version of yourself. So
yeah,
I think if you've had that in your life, and I'm sure many others, I mean, we have to, I suppose, just honor that and pay respects and hope to be that for somebody else.
yeah. And I think with your practicing in yoga as well, how do you what do you think the perceptions are of yoga like in this current day and age is, and where do you see it going from your perspective as a teacher?
From my perspective as a teacher, I think, I mean, it's so much more than what people perceive. I mean, people think of yoga, they think of Lululemon pants and stretchy, thin yogis walking out with their vegan smoothies after class. And why are you laughing?
Oh no,
The
because it's
Lululemon pants.
yeah, and the aloe pants now. Nice aloe.
Aloe
Um,
pants. Okay.
yeah, aloe and aloe socks. I mean, I live downtown in a cosmopolitan area, right, in Toronto, and it's that's the perception of what fitness is looking the part.
Mm,
Hence why
right,
I
right.
had such, it took me back to those images. So
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the reasons we travel as South Africans is so that we can just go out and get the Lululemon and the Athletica clothes. We don't have those brands here. But
mm,
I mean, obviously, yoga for me, it was part of the karate journey, in fact, where I used to do yoga for I suppose, reasons that anybody else would, because I wanted to be more flexible and, you know, learn to breathe better. And it helped me with prepare for competitions and all of that. So I was almost doing yoga to benefit the karate in a sense. But then, I found, especially as an adult and when I was pregnant with my daughter, I did pregnancy yoga and subsequently wrote a course on pre and postnatal exercise. But it was so wonderful for me, the doing the yoga while I was pregnant. And then when she was a baby, I went to this center that had a yoga class. And this teacher, she was a strict Ashtanga yogi, and it was a very hard practice. And she sometimes wouldn't arrive for class, and then there'd be a group of us kind of hanging around. Is the teacher coming? And then I just kind of would say, well, I don't think she's coming, but let's just practice. And I found myself teaching and teaching myself through teaching, and it just became a journey where I realized that yoga is very much a self practice at the end of the day, and that's what people miss, where they miss the
right,
point. Is you're not supposed to just be coming to your weekly class and then going, and then you can check that off the list. I've done yoga this week. It's something that really, what I like to instill is that the lessons that we find ourselves kind of wrestling with when we're on the mat, it's just kind of like putting on your shoes before going for a run.
mhm,
It's when you leave the door, when you go out of the yoga studio, is saying, okay, where did I meet myself on the mat? Was I off balance today? What does that mean? Is there something in my life that's not balanced? Because
right,
the body responds accordingly. And when we're in that conscious state and you're practicing and moving through the asanas and in a state of what I always like to tell people, don't focus on what we're doing. Focus on the state of being that you're at. Where is your
right,
mind when we're holding a pose or when, we're doing something that's challenging you or that you dislike, the 8 limbs of yoga and the asana, the physical practice is only just the one of them. And really, it's about having that awareness, that consciousness, that self restraint, that non judgment, where, you're not judging yourself too harshly because you can't do it as perfectly as the person next to you. These are the lessons that we need to take from the class out there into the rest of the world. So, sorry, there's a lot
wow,
of thunder and lightning outside over here. I don't know if you can
yeah.
hear.
I haven't heard
Nothing
those
like
in
a
quite a
heartfelt,
while.
nothing like a heartfelt thunderstorm.
Yes,
Um, But no, for sure. I mean, the yoga perspective for me is, it's not like karate where you're working towards your next belt or the next competition. It's really just about who am I today? Who was I yesterday? And accepting that without
yeah,
judgment and taking any little lesson that you found. I mean, I had a guy who came to a yoga class. It was his first time, not, it was about a week or so ago, and you could see he'd had an op or something. He had a patch over his eye. So he wasn't doing his normal routine. He thought he'll come to yoga. And it was kind of like he was there because he had to be, or, he couldn't
uh,
do reformer or spinning or whatever he'd usually do. And he came back the next week and I said, oh, I'm happy to see you came back again. And he said, the reason I'm coming back, he says, is not because I necessarily enjoyed the class last week. He said he found it quite hard. He said, but it's how he felt afterwards. He said he went home to make himself lunch and he found himself whistling and smiling and just happy in his body. And he said that's the feeling that he left with after yoga. And he says usually he just kind of gets home from gym and gets on with the day and doesn't
yeah,
think about it again. So, that's the yoga doesn't just happen in the studio or the classroom. It's something that we grow and it becomes part of our lifestyles.
yeah. It's the after feeling that's so important, like you mentioned. Um, I know that a lot of what we go into sometimes we don't take a really interest into. And a lot of people like they'll join a cricket club or they'll go into soccer or they'll do karate, but they'll just be there for, for the sake of it. And then you'll get people who actually are invested in what they're actually doing and will take the information on board and go back and work on it. I think it's a similar trait with yoga and wellness practice as well. It's the work after the work that matters most, and that's what I realized. I also took it for granted, just what you do on the surface is fine, but when I actually had to go really deep within to heal, that's when I understood, okay, it's not just the work on the surface that matters, it's the work that you do afterwards, because that's where you start to peel all the layers away. You start to find difficult, feelings, or you feel those uncomfortableness,
Yes.
that uncomfortableness, feeling within yourself. And it's difficult to sit with sometimes, and then you get on the other side of it, you just feel totally enlightened as well in the same breath as you did before. It's like saying, I just had it on the tip of my tongue and I forgot about it, but yeah, it's about acceptance with improvement. That's what it's about.
Absolutely, yeah. And I always say also, yoga, it's not a workout, it's a work in.
Yeah.
So, and also about the intentions, like you say, some people are just there for the sake of it, and some people are really there. And if you come with that, the right intention, and, I always say, why are you here? What is important to you today? What are we trying to cultivate through our practice? Then it kind of switches those brainwaves on a little bit. And, I think it's a way of life. So is tennis in my own way.
Whatever you do, right? Yeah, whatever you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's such a. I mean, when we younger days, we just we kind of do everything, because we have so much energy. Not saying we don't have the energy right now, but we just have to use it, in the correct ways, because sometimes it's just not conducive to just do everything all the time, because you will feel burnout. And I think that's where we are as a society. It's like we're so entrenched in in our daily lives that we have to go to work, we have to pick up the kids, we have to whatever it is. There's so many things on our plate right now, and we just don't have, or we don't see the value of looking after yourself. Where you think you just got to be there for everybody else but yourself. And I think I myself are trying to push the narrative, it's okay to be selfish for yourself. It's not selfish. You're just being there 100% for you, so that you can give your 100% to the next thing that you need to do, or somebody else. That's it.
For sure. No, you have to fill your own cup to be able to pour out.
Yeah.
And I actually had a lovely discussion with Mark Joseph, who's a mindfulness mentor and master. He does master classes and courses, and we did a presentation on self-love and metta, and in fact spoke about exactly what you're saying. And everyone's like, oh, you love yourself, and it's nonsense. You have to love yourself. How can you love someone else, in fact, and show care and consideration if you don't show it to yourself? And we are our worst critics. We see all the flaws, but you have to do things that you enjoy, make time for fun, play and be silly, because what the truth is, no one really cares. No one will care. I'm not saying no one cares about you, we often too guarded, and the self-care and love and play is what makes the day.
Yeah, I think the notion of being silly is people will look down on you, and why are you doing that? You should be mature all the time. You should be upstanding citizen all the time instead. But remember, you were a child once. You grew up with those traits within you. It's part of your life. It's part of you. You just refine it as you age, or as you go into your life. And I mean, take a relationship or marriage, or whatever situation you're in. There are times when you fool around. You act silly with your partner, and vice versa. And that's the kid within yourself that's coming out. You're just expressing that you feel kind of joyful. You want to be this playful entity that's just bursting with energy right now. and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to always be, straight up,
Mm.
upstanding citizen, and it's okay to be foolishness. And yes, there are times when you have to be serious and you have to be mature and have to think about things. And there are times when you just have to be, you know what, let the universe take care of it. I'll be okay.
Mm. And laughter. I think, that's
Yeah.
also probably, they say, kids laugh all the time, and we as adults, we don't really. And it's sad. I think somebody said that 2 minutes of laughing it gives you as many endorphins as a 20-minute jog. So then someone posted something on Facebook. It was quite funny. She said, "So here I am in the park, sitting on the bench, laughing at all the joggers around me, um, and getting the same amount of
Same high.
endorphins, just watching." So we definitely, as you say, need to let the hair down now and then. In fact, we're going later to go and see the Roxette concert this
Oh,
evening. Well,
lovely.
not the real
Lovely.
Roxette, unfortunately, but you know
That's
what I mean.
okay.
Yeah, the half the band.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta play. You gotta have fun.
Yeah. You got to express those feelings of joy and, you know, laughter. You have to. It's part of human nature, and we have to, like, have all those experiences in our life. And I think the world needs it right now. So much of discord happening around. We need those
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yes.
experiences.
For sure.
Coming back to your journalistic instincts, and I know you into blogging as well. Any topics that really excite you as a writer? Now that you're in the wellness space, or do you still keep to your journalistic um, topics as well?
I think as I've kind of grown older, it's the personal experiences that I like to write about. I like to write about what moves me in a day, what I've learned. I'm currently studying, I'm doing my master's in integrative healthcare and functional nutrition through Northwestern Health Sciences University. And, that's been really interesting, learning learning a completely new way of thinking, conventional versus, more the holistic
Right.
model of preventative medicine and functional medicine. So these days I'm really enjoying writing about that. And I think I've always just, my main topics of writing and blogging and conversation, it's generally around women's health, around nutrition, yoga, anything really. So writing has always been for me kind of how I make sense of the world. It's a way to connect ideas, reflect experiences, and share knowledge in a way that is meaningful to others. I think personally I've been drawn to storytelling since I was young, and combining that with my passion for health and wellness, it feels like a natural extension of who I am. So you asked the topics that excite me most at the moment. It's probably the ones that help people understand their bodies and their minds and their health in a deeper way. But ultimately, I love writing about real stories and how science, experience, and personal transformation come together in a way that can help empower others.
Yeah. How much of inquisitiveness is there from the public about these topics right now, from your perspective?
I think there's definitely more than there ever was before in terms of health trends. And I think, we have to look at what we all went through in the pandemic. And, people started valuing their health a lot more all of a sudden, the home gyms and healthy meals being delivered and all the rest of it. In a way, I think that COVID was good for the health and wellness industry long term now, because it's a huge trending, growing market. So I think, and it's the right time for me to be doing the kind of things I'm trying to extend in my own community and bringing together wellness professionals and putting out courses that are accessible to others. 10 years ago, it wouldn't have worked. So
Right.
I think it's different today.
I think the mind shift has changed dramatically over like you said, the last 10 years. Um, I think COVID, like you said, changed a lot of minds in terms of wellness and how we take care of ourselves. I think, do you feel like um, the unhygienic, not unhygienic, the less of a whole foods market has really, like, taken a dip in terms of, like, its consumerism, and Whole Foods now has taken off?
I think, I think I would imagine so. I mean, I don't have the statistics to prove it, but again, I think it reaches people in different ways, and I think the accessibility that we have now to whole foods and organic markets and direct to consumer, from farm to your front door. There's so many more of those that are expanding, which is lovely to see. But I mean, of course, you're always still going to have your processed foods and
Right.
competition with that and advertising. But I think that people are definitely more health conscious, and again, it depends on where you're coming from and your background and your financial status. But I would say Whole Foods. It is maybe at a better place than it was before, and people are going for buying the banana rather than the chocolate bar. So yeah.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. See, I've also seen it firsthand, like within our household as well. Like coming from a brown community, background, and a lot of our digestive, intakes were more oily, but more, curry based. And I see a lot of like now a lot of the focus is put on towards uh, less of the oil based, cuisines, and going back
Mm.
to more like your cleaner way of eating. And I think because, don't get me wrong, like we love a curry, like we still eat it till
I
today,
love a curry.
Yeah. It's not that we don't have our Indian cuisine. It's just that we've now also started incorporating like the whole foods kind of like diets and menus into our daily you know our daily courses. But so I think the balance is quite like there, but we're just not 100% like fully into it. Because I think nutrition and is such an important facet of wellness. It's more than, I think it's like 80% of your goal. 20% is the exercise and
Mm.
everything else, but 80% is nutritional. The nutrition part takes precedent over everything, because what you put into your body is what you get out. Coming from a sporting environment, we learned that very young. What you put into your body is fuel for what you actually take onto the field and what you can give. Um, and in your
Yeah, I
perspective,
think
do you
that.
find, yeah, so do you find any
Yeah.
challenges like within your space with people actually trying to like incorporate nutrition, or trying to like even just change from what they're currently doing to what they need to do? Do they find it a challenge?
So I think you've just said it in a way. The 80%, 20% also applies as a rule. Where I'd say work towards good nutrition 80% of the time. But we're all human and we have the things that we love and enjoy. So there is a room and a space for 20% where we don't want to completely overhaul and change and tell you can never ever have whatever it is that you love or enjoy ever again. So I think it's when I work with a client, it is about really kind of deep diving and looking what are they doing, making them aware of it. So having a journal, having a food journal. Sometimes they say, I can't journal, I can't do it. Then I'll say, okay, when you have a main meal, all I want you to do is take a photo of it.
Mhm.
And at the end of the week or whatnot, send me a few photos. And that's very revealing because it might be a photo of a healthy plate or a freezer or fries. And then they don't want to take that photo. That's the funny thing. They don't want to take that photo because they know it's something they shouldn't be eating. But it's about getting real with yourself and learning more about yourself. And I mean, my approach to nutrition is quite science based because I offer nutrigenetic testing. So it means you do a DNA test.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
little finger prick test, and it goes to the lab and it looks at gene mutations and variations that affect metabolism specifically. So it looks at how well does your body metabolize carbohydrates versus fats? How much protein do you need? Are there any food intolerances you have genetically? Like a lot of people
Okay.
are lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, and don't even know. But then they'll say, "Well, I always feel bloated after a pasta, or my
Right.
tummy runs after eating ice cream or dairy, but I'm fine. I can handle it." Um, So my approach is quite scientific, and it's on paper and it's in the stats that, accordingly, or if you're going to be investing, so much money to doing a genetic test, you must take the results seriously now. And we're going to work and build your health coaching model and journey and set goals according to, what it says in the reports and obviously beyond that. So I'm quite lucky that I have that science-based reference to begin with. But I'd say to anyone, whether you have a DNA test or not, it's just track your habits, track your daily movements. Are you drinking enough water? Those kinds of things. Are you walking every day? Are you sitting too much? What behaviors are setting you back from where you want to be? So nutrition for sure. I think there's even a model in the course that I'm doing at the moment. It's called the Nibblets. Have you ever
Nibblets.
heard of the Nibblets?
No. That's the first time.
So the Nibblets, it's an acronym for kind of like the pillar stones of health and wellness, what we need to make sure we're looking after. And at the
Okay.
top, the N stands for nutrition. And it also looks at nutritional deficiencies and insufficiencies. So we have to, see are we getting enough of this or too much of that. And then the I stands for immunity, so immune system, but it's also linked to gut health. So it's
Right.
also immunity and the intestinal balance and looking at your microbiome, because gut health is also extremely important to get right. Even if you have a good nutrition, sometimes you've got an underlying disorder that's actually in your gut that you might need
Yeah.
some probiotics or, various treatments to reset your gut. And often that can help tremendously. And then I'll just go through it quickly. The B are kind of biological factors, biochemical differences. The L is your lifestyle, so kind of everyday activities, the exercises that you're doing. Then B also, I think I left out the B. No, B was the biological and also behaviors. So then it's also behaviors and lifestyle. So looking at things, are you a smoker? Kind of factors, how stressed are you at work? And that's, then there's the T. The T stands for toxic exposure and toxins. So again, that can affect our health outcomes if you are exposed to in your environment. People that live in blue zones, for example, they have the longest kind of lifespan and health span because they're not breathing in smoke and pesticides. And there's a lot of toxins in the foods that we eat. We have to be careful. We have to wash our fruits and veggies.
Right.
And also just shop very mindfully that you're not buying even the fish that we eat. You think you're eating fish. I have a lot of salmon, but it's got like quite a lot of mercury toxins.
Yeah.
So, and then the S in the Nibblets model stands for stress and sleep, which I think is sleep, particularly when we're looking at health, is very, very underrated and very, very hugely important. As important as your nutrition actually is your rest and your recovery. So I think it's addressing that, because often the problems that we have, it's all multifactorial.
You're giving me an idea. Like Niblet sounds like a great storytelling, series that we can introduce to kids. Like create like an animation series and then each letter would be like a character.
Cool! I'd love to help you with that. That would be amazing. Let's do it.
It's how if you think about it, the Niblets, and then it's you introduce it into kids. Yeah. I mean, I work for an animation studio. Yeah.
The seven kind of what do you call them, avatars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something I can pitch just to get kids awareness, and I get them started. And even adults would probably watch. I'm not sure. It's just something that I was like, when you said Niblets, it's like, okay, that's where my brain went to.
Quite a cute name, actually.
Yeah. No, amazing. No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I think most of our listeners would never have actually, known about it until you shared it. So thank you. And I think a lot of people will start going, researching Niblets and be like, okay. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Welcome. It's not mine, but
no, I mean that's why we have these kind of conversations, right? Is to learn and take what we need to from the conversations and try and incorporate them in our own lives. Speaking about like daily lives, what does a daily life of Hayley look like? What's your day-to-day look like?
Day in the life of Hayley. It's funny you asking me this because I had a lady, a videographer, actually come and kind of follow me for a day or two to create this picture of what does a day in the life of Hayley look like, and it was quite funny. But the trick is, my days are not that different from anybody else. I think I wake up. One of the first things, well, always when I wake up, I'll have some lemon water, so warm lemon water,
You're the second person
before
that said that
anything
to
else.
me.
Oh yeah,
The second,
it's very
yeah,
good
yeah,
for your liver.
yeah.
Very good for your liver. And also the warm water, because I mean, when we breathe and when we sleep, we kind of we lose a lot of water. So it's putting that water back. They say one big glass of lemon water, you literally it's almost as much as you sweat in the night or breathe out the vapors. So you put that back first, and then of course there's a nice little espresso or cortado to follow. I've become
Lovely.
a bit of a coffee snob in the
Connoisseur,
mornings. I need my
connoisseur.
uh,
Not snob, connoisseur.
connoisseur,
Change the way you say
connoisseur,
it.
reframe it, absolutely, elevate. Um, so I have the lemon water, then the coffee, and then I'll generally, if I can, I like to spend about 10-15 minutes on my own in the morning. So my husband knows he'll go out, he'll potter around, get ready, and I just like to have that quiet time, whether it's in bed or on my couch, just kind of sitting, making some notes, and taking a few moments for just being there, for, I suppose, without actively practicing gratitude and having a whole list. It is just kind of like, okay, it's a new day. Let's be present, show up. This is what I've got to do. This is how I'd like to do it. And also just sitting in a bit of quiet. So I think I do have that daily meditation, even though it's quite short at the best of times. And then I get ready for the day. I always start my day off actively. So there's movement. There's movement,
Right.
whether I'm getting ready to teach a class, whether my dogs are yapping and I have to run them around the block. I try and also fit in tennis 2 to 3 times a week. I'm on the tennis courts in the morning. Um, so the day always starts with some form of active movement. I will have something light to eat. At one stage, I was practicing the kind of longer intermittent fasting and only
Okay.
eating kind of a late midday breakfast, but I've changed that now, and I have a little bit of breakfast earlier, which I feel is better for me. It sustains me, and then even like, for example, after I teach, I've got energy afterwards to say, I'm at the gym, I've got another half an hour, let me, do my own
Do
weight
something
training or
else. Yeah.
something. So I generally, have the active morning, and I call that the workout. And then it's time to put the work on, and the serious side of things, kind of out of the gym wear into the office space. I'm fortunate to work from home, and I'm also out and about. Most of the time I meet my clients somewhere out for coffee. We have consultations, or I'm doing their DNA tests, or we're going through their reports. So that's kind of most of my morning goes on classes and 1 or 2 client consults. Then I'll organize lunch, get ready for picking up the kids, do the school lifts, come back, carry on with a bit of work. I'll generally write an article at some point then in the day, around about 2-3 p.m., write an article. And then I kind of say to my team at Keep Evolving, I've got a little company called Keep Evolving and a small team. And I say to them, they must imagine I'm in America every day from 4 p.m. onwards. They must phone me. I'm in America. Or when I say not phone me at that time, well, I just tell them that I'm in a different time zone so that
Yeah.
I can focus on my studies, because I've got to find at least 3 hours a day to do this work. And when you kind of left now, it's 4 p.m. and you've got to find 3 hours, and there's dinner and there's shopping and, homework and all of that. I'm lucky to squeeze maybe an hour, hour and a half before dark, and then afterwards I carry on. I put in the work, and that is a typical day. So it's back to back. There's
Yeah. It's
little
quite
time
a,
to negotiate in between those things. I think, if I'm lucky and it's kind of 9:30 and I've done what I needed to do, then I'm happy. Then I'll play guitar. I love playing guitar just for
oh,
fun. I'm
nice.
really not good at it, but I'll
No, it's
play a
cool.
bit of
That's cool.
guitar, or or I take out my sound bath set, and I like music. I like music to just reset and clear the headspace. Otherwise, I've got kind of the screens and words in front of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to play guitar, listen to music, or sometimes I'll just take a bath and read a little bit. But I really do try, like put off my phone from 8:30 at night, like it's off, I'm done. And I try
Yeah.
not to put it on again
Engage.
until like kind of 12 hours later, to
Right.
say, just take
Give it
that
a rest. Yeah.
space, because the rest, as I say, sleep is something I really was struggling with at one point, really like battling with the sleep. And I was pushing the movement and pushing the nutrition, like doing those really well, but realized that, if you're not getting the sleep, it's rather do less of the others and balance it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bit of an unbalanced,
Mm.
unbalancing. And well, that's a lot
Busy
to do.
day.
Yeah, it's a busy day. I'm sure when you do get the time to rest, you really take it.
I don't know. My husband says I don't know how to rest because I always find something to do. I'll be like resting and thinking, as you say, oh, that's a good idea for a course, or you just want to write about it or journal it or
Are you
start
are
it,
you
or
are you like are you the fidgetive mind? You know, or is it like you've
a
always been like
busy
that, or it's
mind.
just something that's just like, okay, no, I'm trying to like get better at. You're trying to rest. You're trying to like quiet the mind more.
Yeah. I think I don't like to waste time. I think that for me is what it's really about. I get a lot of ideas. I get a lot of ideas, and then I have to kind of think about them, process them. So I'd rather, if I've got an idea, go for a walk, think about it, walk with the dogs, come back, write about it. Then what most other people would say is, oh, let's just put on the TV and forget about that idea, and let me
Yeah.
rather just lie back. I don't watch much TV, although we really enjoyed that series Cobra Kai. I don't know if you
Yes.
watched that
Oh yeah,
Cobra Kai
Karate Kid. Yeah,
series,
yeah. Growing up
those
was my
Karate Kid movies. So
yeah.
occasionally I'll get into a series, but generally the rest is reading a book. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anyone can really switch off
Turn
their
off.
mind, turn off. Yeah, I do find that hard. I think it's an active practice to try and rest, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. No, probably much the same. It's a bit of a challenge to like quiet the mind. Uh,
Mm.
but quieting the mind, it doesn't mean just sitting in stillness. It can be doing something. That's the notion of
Yeah,
it, or what I
the
understand of it.
mindfulness.
Yeah. I mean, for me, quieting the mind is going for a bike ride, or just going out for a walk because we live like not too far from the lake, from Lake Ontario, and just to go up,
No, that's
walk there, sit there, and just sit with nature, watch the plane. Because we have also Billy Bishop, the airport, not too far away. You can just watch the plane come in, land, and
oh,
you just sit with yourself. And
mm,
sometimes that's all and be all of it. You don't have to be like
mm,
sitting in the mountains of Tibet, Nepal or Himalayas,
mm,
wherever, just to get those those experiences. But I think that's where we need to learn that it's okay to be busy, because that could be your quiet, you know,
mm,
and that's what does wonders for you.
mm,
And that's okay. And I think a lot of we trying to like find this way to be like, oh no, I've got to do this, what this yogi does, or what that yogi does, or what this does, or what that does. And we get so caught up of what actually works for us, we don't really then get to that stage. And that's where I think the frustrations come about. Instead of just saying, okay, what do I like? What is it that keeps me, you know, a good quiet mental state that I can also then be productive in the same way, you know. And I
sure.
feel if you agree with me, or if you disagree with me, let me know. But that's just my opinion about it.
No, for sure. I think what you're doing, as you say, just going somewhere where you can be present and appreciate where you're at is really what the mindfulness and meditation is at the end of the day. It's about not living in the next. I remember like sitting somewhere at this beautiful place, overlooking in Cape Town, looking at the ocean in this like high restaurant bar, and just there was my husband on his phone looking at the seats for the flight for the next morning. What seat do you want? What meal do you want? And I'm like, look at the view and
You
just be here, and we're here. We haven't left yet. Like, just enjoy what is here, and that's I suppose what you're doing, as you said. Whether you going for the bike ride, you're there. You're on that ride, or by the lake or whatever it might be. It's about the being there, not
Yeah,
about what you're doing. And even if the mind is thinking or overthinking, it's okay as long as it's there for most of the time. And sometimes it's a naughty puppy that we have to keep kind of calling back
yeah,
to the moment.
yeah. I mean, like
So I
right now,
agree with you.
I've got a million things that I need to do like later on, but
Oh,
right now, being present here in the podcast is mindfulness, knowing that you're here
sure.
100%. That's what it's about. And I struggle with tasking as well, like multitask, like finishing a task and then moving on to a next because I'm all over the show at times, and I'm trying to really like get a task done, even if it's a simple chore. Get the chore done first and then move on to the next chore because it's easy to be distracted by something and you leave the chore behind. So it's just trying to like do those small little wins. So then later on in life, you start to then get those bigger wins out, that you're craving for.
And it's never going to be perfect. So I think that's
Mhm.
the other thing. We're so hard on ourselves, and it's never going to be perfect. And you almost have to forgive yourself before you even start or try and say, okay, it's not going to
Yeah,
be perfect, but we're going to go ahead anyway.
right. If there's three habits or three practices that you take throughout your life, what would it be? Your daily practices.
So
What are the
it was quite
non-negotiables?
it's quite interesting that you're asking me that, because I had a conversation with a client of mine, and she's been a client for a long time. I mean, I think over a decade that I've been working with her, and the most the most incredible woman. And maybe I'll tell you about her story after this. But to answer the question, the three habits, I said to her, and it just kind of came to me at the top of my head. I said www dot, and she said what? And I said water. Make sure you're drinking water. Humans must drink water. You wouldn't feed Fanta to your dog or coffee to your cat. Give yourself water. Water is very important. So the lemon water comes with me wherever I am. I actually take within my bag when I travel. I'll kind of cut up some lemons for the next
Okay.
day, or take a fresh lemon and a pocket knife. So that's a non-negotiable, the lemon water. And then the other one is walking. I think, again, if we just keep moving the bodies and walk every day, the different targets and standards, but I generally say if I can get close to 10,000 steps a day, it's good. 7,000 is enough. So walking every day, because that's also how I suppose it just helps me to really feel grounded, is the walking. And then weight training. So in making sure you're doing the resistance training, and it doesn't have
Right.
to be there we are in the gym pushing barbells. I mean, weight training can be body
Body
weight. It can
weight.
be
Yeah.
holding a plank, doing a push up. Squat movements is still bearing weight in some way. So the www dot is my takeaway, I guess.
Lovely. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Now it's interesting. We there's so many non-negotiables in our life that we sometimes don't really like take note of. And we're like, oh, okay, something I do every single day. Like for me, it's like I'll try and like movement. Movement for me is a non-negotiable. I have to have something to do. I have to move my body in some form of way.
Yes, that's
Um,
me too.
yeah, and it's so interesting that you said movement because the other day on a Saturday, so we usually clean, right? It's our cleaning day and running errands. And believe it or not, like just running errands and cleaning, 10,000
Oh, that's
steps.
energy expenditure. That's huge energy
And
expenditure.
I
I
reached
stand with
10,000
my,
steps, just
yeah.
I didn't even know. It's like, oh, but it's it's such a, like you said, it's such a nonchalant activity, but you're still putting in the work. Your body's still moving. And for me, it's like, because I've put in my body through so much through sport during the years, like through injuries, through rehab, through operations or whatever, surgeries, whatever.
Oh, oh wow.
Uh, for me right now, mobility is the most important thing. To be able to be like mobile in my like later on, God forbid, touch wood, I'm still around. That I'm able to still move, walk, pick up a spoon, just take care of myself. That's the most
Functional.
important thing. Yeah, just to be functional.
Mm.
Because I look back at our past generations, and they're all like bedridden or in a wheelchair, walking sticks, and
Mm.
I thought to myself, just simple, simple hip mobility every single day. I do that. That's like a non-negotiable for me right now. So I'm gonna make sure that I get those in, because I know the work I do now is just gonna reap benefits later on.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, there are many others I think that are non-negotiables. I think, if we look at beyond the health and the fitness hat, I think non-negotiables, just tell my kids every day that I love them. The practicing the gratitude and finding something that makes me laugh every day, even if I'm laughing at myself. I mean, I literally the other day was in the gym after yoga class and thought, let me do some upper back, shoulders, and I took a barbell and I lifted it and I hit the bridge of the tip of my
Nose.
nose. And and I just like dropped the weight and just went to like the corner and I like just, oh my gosh, but then I laughed afterwards. You have to also just laugh at yourself and not take everything, as we said earlier, not take it also seriously. So play every day. Tell those people that you love them, and maybe do something nice for yourself. Whether it's whether it's putting on cream on your feet, or going for a haircut.
Self-care, self-care.
Just something. That the self care is also, I suppose, has become a non-negotiable. And you know before recently, it wasn't always. So I think we need to
Yeah, there's
remind
something I like to
ourselves.
share about self-care is here in Canada we get stipend for RMTs, so it's called registered massage therapists, and you get like
Oh, fantastic.
you get a certain amount for the year with your insurance. And back in South Africa, you go for a massage was like
Luxury.
yeah.
Mm,
Whereas like now every 2 or 3 months you schedule a massage just to get that
brilliant.
little bit of self-care in, and it comes off
Mm,
insurance. You make use of it, and we didn't understand it until we got here, and like, okay, it's something that's really important. It's
it's
just to
really, really cool.
keep your body
Mm,
healthy, get the toxins out, and
exactly.
you feel
Comes
better.
in that
The
Nibblets bottle,
Nibblets,
the tea
yes,
for
yes,
detoxification. It's what are
yeah,
you doing to support detoxification? And the detoxification is even lactic acid in the muscles, and
100%,
stress and cortisol buildup. So, oh,
exactly,
that's cool. So I must use my Canadian passport for
yes,
coming
for
for
sure,
a massage
100%.
every few months. I'll do that.
No, thank you, Ellie. Before we go, I think it's a good time to wind down the podcast. Thank you for sharing everything. But I'd like to do just a fun little quick fire round. Um,
Sure.
if you could have dinner with any, I did mention wellness, but if you could have dinner with anyone, 3 people on the planet, dead or alive, who would it be?
It's quite a hard question, Kishan. Like I'd say, look, my wellness celebrity kind of role model is JJ Virgin. And whenever I say JJ Virgin, most people are like, "Who's JJ Virgin?" And I'm like, "How can you not know JJ Virgin? Because she's just phenomenal." She's an American wellness celebrity. She's been on many talk shows. She was actually kind of like the trainer on the Dr. Phil show back in the day.
Okay.
She was on many Dr. Phil's, but I didn't really catch on to her then. It was more later through kind of doing my own investigations in nutrition. She wrote a book called The Virgin Diet, and she wrote another book thereafter shortly that was a very personal journey about her son who was knocked over. In fact, she had a son who was run over, freak accident, and it was at the brink of kind of her highest kind of success and fame. She just had a bestseller published, and she speaks about her son in this book, who he was really, really kind of also not in a good space, and how she still kind of maintained herself in that time. I mean, I listened to it as an audiobook, and it was very inspiring, and I'd love to be able to sit down with her and kind of mother to mother talk about that time period, because I think she is just an example of resilience, and somebody who walks the talk. She's not a phony. She's real. and relevant, and just has this beautiful big smile and amazing biceps. So I'd love to go for dinner with JJ and see what she orders for dinner. And then you say three people.
Well,
I think I
yeah,
think in my dreams, let's say in my dreams, would also be probably Novak Djokovic. Just being a bit of a
tennis.
yeah, a tennis fan. He's not everyone's favorite person, and obviously super competitive. But I mean, I really admire him, not just as an athlete, but for what he stands for. I mean, there was a lot of controversy where with when it was COVID, and he was refused to get vaccinated,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he had his reasons, and the whole world was kind of like in uproar, and a lot of criticism there. But then you look at the type of person that he is. He was a very strict vegan for a long time, and he's very, very. He's written a book. I think he wrote a book, Serve to Win, and he's always been very mindful also of what he puts in his body, and his dedication to his training is unreal. And I mean, that's why
Yeah.
he is still winning major titles at the age that's considered for most professional sports people like old. In your mid
Retirement. Yeah,
30s,
yeah.
you're old. And he's still taking out these youngsters, who are just like the Alcaraz and, all the new guys on the scene. He can still beat them. So I'd love to have dinner with Djokovic. And maybe a third person would be Sadhguru.
Right.
I don't know if you've read any of Sadhguru's
Yes,
work.
yes.
He wrote that Inner Engineering that was bought for me as a gift. And I just remember loving every single page because he made me laugh. And he was able to actually take, really serious philosophy and just put it in these ridiculous stories that, again, it just was relatable, and it taught me a lot. And, those books where you kind of like, you read really slowly and you want to come back to it. And when it ends, you almost want to cry because you're like, oh, it's done. So, a Satguru would be awesome. Maybe we'd go for a nice Indian curry or something like that.
Yeah,
Not
he's
worry
got a
about
bit
the
of dry
calories
humor.
as much.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about the calories. We can just
Just
take our
be, just
time,
be.
take our time and just be. And yeah, obviously also would be wonderful if I could bring back someone who's not around to go for dinner with my dad again. That would be very special. But those would be my peeps.
Lovely. And a wellness practice that you secretly love and you feel is underrated?
A wellness practice that I secretly love, underrated. Maybe ice baths, hey?
Oh, yeah.
Ice
Oh, yeah.
baths. Kind of
Beneficial,
love it or
but
hate
grueling,
it.
yeah.
Yes. I've done it once. I had to actually do a little review on camera of me jumping in an ice bath
Oh,
and talk about the benefits while I was in the bath getting frostbite. But yeah, listen, you in Canada don't need it as much as we do, but
stand
it
outside.
is. There we go. I open the front door. It is invigorating. I mean, that cold rush definitely does something to you. And I mean, scientifically, it has numerous benefits for a parasympathetic nervous system and, autophagy and all sorts of things. But yeah, I'd say that would be the one.
Right. I agree. I agree. And if you could raid your kitchen right now, what's the one thing we'd always find?
I think you already know. Probably the lemons. The lemons.
I was going there. I was going there. I just wanted to hear it from you.
Also chia seeds, although actually I'm very low on stock at the moment. Chia seeds are like nature's little powerhouse. I mean, they're just high in protein and fiber, and I'll sprinkle them in everything, whether it's, my smoothie or the yogurt, or, they're really, really great. So, chia seeds are also underrated, but shouldn't be. So chia seeds, lemons, and eggs. I love eggs. So, those would probably be a few things you'll always find in my house, and a bit of dark chocolate and
Oh,
coffee.
I was just going about to
Mm.
say, like a guilty pleasure.
Mm. Dark chocolate for sure.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I've also like taken towards the dark chocolate side now. Never was a chocolate person, but I really like dark chocolate.
Mm.
Different aspects of it, and the health benefits of it as a superfood. So, win-win.
You got to have your guilty pleasures, and it's not all
Yeah.
that bad.
Yeah.
Listen, I also, I can't say I never eat biscuits or crackers. We do.
Oh, no, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
No, thank you, Hayley. Before we go, if you would give advice for somebody who's feeling stuck right now and like just a bit apprehensive of starting their journeys, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. Mm. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. So I would say to them, imagine yourself exactly 1 year from now. So really see that version of you. How do they look? How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they walk? How do you carry yourself? And visualize this person in detail. And then make it your mission to become them. Start with the small intentions, the intentional actions that align with that future version of yourself. And then every choice that you make, from what you eat to how you move, should bring you closer to that person. And just remembering that growth happens and change happens step by step. But the key is to begin.
I love that. The begin part, just begin.
Just start where you're at and go from there. The universe
Amazing.
will meet you where it needs to.
Yes, it will. It will. I think I can atone for that as well. So 2 people are telling you the same thing, guys. Just start.
There we go. We're on the same wavelength. One
Yes.
opposite ends of the earth.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
And where can people find you if they're interested in your services? Where can they find you?
Well, I am quite a lot in the public eye at the moment. If you follow our pages, Keep Evolving SA. We're on Instagram. The website is also keepevolving.sa.com. So we've got some courses that we're launching at the end of March in longevity, in yoga, in mindfulness, which is really, really exciting. And that's really what we're trying to grow is a new wellness community. And then in terms of personal consulting, if someone is interested in me kind of working with them one-on-one as a health coach and doing their DNA tests, then the best option would be to look at my personal website, which is mindbodyevolve.co.za. And you can learn more about the DNA tests that I offer. Or again, if you just like to have a consultation, there is a form there that you can complete, and I will get back to you and would love to meet you where you're at, as we were saying.
Lovely. And I will also as well leave the links to the descriptions of Hayley's website and Instagram pages and socials in the description below. So please check it out. Support her wonderful journey. And if you also need healing, please reach out to her. But thank you, Hayley. I truly appreciate you taking the time out today for coming to speak to us. Truly inspiring. I learned a lot. Thank you for Nibblets. I will take that for me. So thank you for
welcome.
sharing. Thank you for sharing, and I wish you all the best in the future. So, and I look forward to keep evolving and also keeping up with your practice and evolution. So thank you so much, and until the next one, guys, stay zen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kishan.